Hey everybody, Jay Weidner here. Reality check. Uh-oh, hang on. Yeah. Okay, so normally I would be reading from my book, but a new article has come out, and I thought that I should read it because it encapsulates everything about the Cross of Hendaye, even though the author, who doesn't get any attribution to either me, my work on the Cross of Hendaye, or my film Earth Under Fire on Dr. Paul Laviolette's work, and he doesn't give any credit to Paul Laviolette either, who came up with the whole theory. So there are some problems, but there it goes. Anyway, this just came out on February 1st. It's written by a Catholic who's into astrology or something. Anyway, it's called the Micronova Catastrophe, February 1st, 2023 by L.H. The time has come for me to discuss this. Readers of my blog are quite aware of my affinity for outer space discussions. My articles that slide into outright Christian astrological observation are well known, but I still continue to retain an enormous interest in the scientific aspects of the cosmos. It is into this category which we will now delve. Perhaps my fellow internet denizens are aware of the theories of Randall Carlson, or more famously, Graham Hancock, both who put forth the idea that 12,000 years ago, the world experienced a global catastrophe that reshaped everything. Last I checked, they attributed an asteroid strike as being responsible for much of the ancient disasters that transpired 12,000 years ago. But I wish to bring your attention to Ben Davidson of the group Suspicious Observers, as well as Douglas Vogt, an old friend of mine, of the Diehold Foundation. These latter two individuals have been instructing the public about a phenomenon that, while sounding fantastical, was withheld by the CIA for decades. That is, until recently. Cataclysm, step one. Galactic ripple. Throw a pebble into a pond and you will see water ripple from the center to the edges of the shore. This is happening on a galactic level. From the center of the galaxy, ripples of dust are spreading outward. These galactic ripples are like the ripples in a great pond, moving outwards in a circle. Between these galactic ripples are vast amounts of nothingness. As our current position in the Milky Way, it takes 12,000 years for us to be hit by one of these galactic waves. So the pattern goes like this. Our solar system is hit with a galactic ripple, then there's a 12,000-year break, and then we're hit again with another ripple. As the galactic ripple approaches our solar system, we will begin to see other star systems react to this wave. First, we see the farther stars react. The reaction of these star systems occur in a line from the furthest stars to the nearest stars, and then the galactic ripple hits our solar system. Cataclysm step two, solar system changes. As this galactic ripple penetrates through the heliopause and enters our solar system, we can take notice of increased dust in the void of space. All this material affects the planets. We began to see planetary changes, or worlds as far away as Pluto or Neptune. But even the inner planets go through some alterations. We start to see wild temperature changes on these other worlds, and even quakes on the rocky worlds. New kinds of comets and asteroids from beyond the solar system shouldn't be surprising in these conditions. When this galactic ripple hits the sun, its chemistry begins to change. Our sun has a regular 11-year cycle of increasing and decreasing solar activity. But with this galactic ripple hitting it, we find the sunspots and flares to be more active than normal. The Earth begins changing as well. We begin to see the Earth's atmosphere weaken in particular places, such as the Southern Atlantic anomaly, but the magnetosphere will also weaken as a whole. We will begin to see the aurora more often in places we shouldn't. This is because a weakening magnetosphere allows more solar particles than usual to sneak into lower altitudes of the atmosphere. The poles shift. slowly at first. Year after year, they crawl to new locations, speeding up as time goes by, but more on that later. These changes with the Earth's magnetic field affect animal migrations and confuse flocks and herds to collectively travel in abnormal patterns. The interior of the Earth becomes more agitated as well, and volcanic activity and earthquakes increase. Again, this is because the Earth is being affected by both the galactic ripple, but also the changing behavior of the sun. Double catastrophe. There is an electrical connection between the worlds in the solar system, as well as an electrical connection with the star, our star. What happens in one body can affect other bodies. As a result of this, because the weakening magnetosphere allows more solar input upon our biosphere, the sun loses its classic friendly yellow hue and it looks more white, which is definitely happening. Weather patterns change. For example, wintertime cold fronts are no longer shaped the same way they used to be. It also will get more windy. There are biological changes as well, as more solar and galactic radiation are getting through than ever before, and this, coupled with the planet's magnetic changes, affects behavior and temperament. In other words, everybody starts to lose their mind, like they are. When we met, what is mentioned here is only a tiny taste of all the solar and global changes that can happen during this galactic ripple. And it happens like clockwork in cycles every 12,000 years. But this event is not over just yet. Cataclysm step 3, she's going to blow. Basically, the sun cannot take it any longer and it explodes. Although this explosion is not a complete explosion the way most would see it in a science fiction movie. No, the explosion is what we call a micronova. A micronova is sort of like a sloughing off of the sun's outer layer. It shoots off plasma and debris, but the star remains intact for the next 12,000-year cycle. Evidence for previous micronova can be found on rocky extraterrestrial bodies like the moon. Samples from there will show little glass beads, particulate from the previous micronova. These can also be found in various places on Earth. Alaska, Sahara Desert. The process for the event will be incredible from the Earth's perspective. When the sun sloughs off its outer layer in this way, there will be different solar signs owing to the various phenomena that come first. When its shell is sloughed off in the micronova, it will take time for this material to hit the Earth, not years, but days. Get underground. Go underground. Get in a mine shaft or something. The sun's shell comes off. There is a cloud of the sun's material. It quickly cools like darkening iron from a forge. The sun has successfully shed. At this point, the sun's light is blocked. As a result of that, the moonlight dims. 1/3 of the stars cannot be seen because their light is blocked by the sun's approaching material. Now, all of this said, there are 2 periods of darkness. It's important to recognize this process, so let's step back a bit. Cataclysm step 3.5. The sky will look weird. Firstly, when the sun initially goes micronova, its entire outer shell comes off, just like how we saw Betelgeuse shed its shell in 2021, and then its brightness dimmed. That was a preview for this event because it's closer to the galaxy. Now, in the moment and hours immediately following this shedding, all of the sun's ejected material is still more or less surrounding the orb of the sun. And because of this, the effect is sort of like that of a Dyson sphere. A Dyson sphere is something that a Type 2 civilization would build, basically an entire sphere surrounding a star. Because the light of the sun is smothered in such a way, it is likely that its own version of a Van Allen belt will become visible from the Earth. This will likely strike spectators as a strange sky happening in the place of the sun, and the shape may very well take the form of a cross in the sky. Bingo. Secondly, once the orb of material is ejected and enough light and far enough away from the sun, light will be able to break through it and the Earth will have light once more, albeit dimly. Too much cool jettison material will be in between the sun and the earth for the regular amounts of sunlight to get through. Also, this material will likely obscure starlight, usually after sunset and before sunrise. In this way, only about 2/3 of the stars will be visible on the side of the earth facing completely opposite of the sun. On a personal note, it would be interesting to know just which constellation are no longer visible during this period. The large amount of dust and material is likely going to bend the light spectrum emanating from the sun. The sun's orange and red colored sunlight is typically caused from a dense amount of atmosphere during dusk and dawn. Similarly, the material from the sun's ejected shell will bend sunlight into the red spectrum. Consequently, the moon will have a dark red color in the week before the sun's shell hits the earth. It's possible that daylight will be darker and perhaps redder during the week. Cataclysm step 4, starfire falls on the world. It is at this stage that burning debris from the sun hits the earth. There may be large amounts of ejected sun that are mixed in with this shower of burning debris. If there are chunks large enough that are comprised of disagreeable elements, it is possible such a chunk of debris could be very poisonous for whatever body it lands in. The conflagration will last a few days, and again, the period from the initial micronova shedding was only days earlier. Because this cloud of the sun's material is now pouring onto the earth, it is likely that for a second time, all sunlight will be blocked to anyone on the surface. Although it may be possible that the dust and cloud-filled sky could be red during this event. Cataclysm step 4.25, lightning. Other things happen besides just burning starfire at this time. Just as there is lightning during a volcano eruption, so also will there be powerful lightning to accompany the fire shower. This will not be ordinary lightning. Its behavior will be radically different from the kinds of lightning that most people are accustomed to. For one thing, it will be large-scale lightning on a planetary level. It will have different patterns than those that people are accustomed to. This extraordinary lighting will not only occur because of the cosmic material in our atmosphere, rather the electrical energy from the nova shock wave will compress Earth's forward-facing magnetic fields until finally the fields discharge the electricity straight towards the surface of the Earth. I believe that's what created the American Southwest. Huge, super strong lightning strikes. Before these terrible few days, mankind has always recognized lightning as a locally caused event, but the lightning discharge witnessed on these handful of days will be cosmic-based. Cataclysm step 4.5, earthquakes. We just had a huge earthquake in Turkey. Planet-wide earthquakes will take place during this event. These, as with the lightning, are triggered by the strong geomagnetic storm from the micronova. The cosmic atmosphere storm will induce current through the Earth's crust and down into the mantle towards subduction regions. Electric current and cosmic rays alter the viscosity of the silica-rich magma, and because of the Earth's surface will experience mega quakes and super volcanic activity, the likes of which we've never seen. The Earth will jerk. Continental plates will move and twist. In fact, it is possible that the Earth will experience one big earthquake all at once. Some lands will rise while other lands will fall below sea level. The geographic map will be transformed completely. Cataclysm 4.75, continental tsunamis. Naturally, the energy from the planet-wide quake activity will disturb all bodies of water. Seas and lakes will recede and then return to overflow many coastal regions. It is likely that all the coastal cities will be inundated by the oceans. Tens of millions of people will drown every minute during this process. The effect will be such that men will fear the coast for generations after the events. And in Peru, the Native Americans will not live by the ocean. They do not. You can buy land right on the Pacific Ocean cheap, because none of the natives want to live there. Mountains will fall. Long dead continents will rise once more. Enormous quantities of water will be displaced. Many riverways will find themselves to now be inland seas. Other regions washed by oceans will have been transformed into what the Sahara Desert is now. And that's a very interesting statement when you understand the Rickott structure. But there are more. But there is one more event during these disastrous days that will ensure the Earth's waters have no rest. One more great and terrifying mechanism that will have a direct effect on all bodies of water, such that no ocean or lake will escape its effect. Cataclysm step 5, the pole shift. The pole shift is happening. Even now, the magnetic North Pole is moving towards Russia's northern coast, while the magnetic South Pole is moving north. Both poles are set to meet in the Indian Ocean. The end product will be that polar regions will have alternated with tropical regions, which would explain the Pura-Reese map showing Antarctica. To our knowledge, without any ice on. To our knowledge, the poles began to shift in 1859. At the same time, that year, the sun's chemistry changed. This year was arguably the year the galactic ripple first hit the solar system. It was that very same year that the sun erupted into the greatest solar event ever recorded. Many would recognize this as the Carrington event. It was so powerful that it set telegraph lines on fire. The aurora was seen as far south as Cuba, and telegraphic messages could actually be sent through the aurora itself. Again, the 1859 superflare correlated with the Earth's magnetic pole shift. This change in the sun served as an induction mechanism to kickstart the process we find ourselves in now. Now the shift is not a steady, gradual occurrence that takes place over eons. This pole shift is increasingly, exponentially, year by year, to the point that the world has mere decades before the flip. Faster and faster, the poles are accelerating to meet one another at a singular point on the Earth, until finally the world is tipped 90 degrees and a gardener will be able to grow temperate fruit in Germany. Hang on. Stepping back. Everything described here will happen within the space of 1 week. The most intense part of this event will transpire over a matter of days. With less than 100 hours, the face of the Earth will be changed for the rest of time. For a short time, the surface of the Earth in many parts will resemble a blender, owing to all of the turbulence of water and debris, the mud floods. Vast continental regions will be washed over by the sea. The entire globe will be showered with fire, and afterwards, all the evaporated moisture will flash freeze at the new poles. It will be an event matched only by the great flood of Noah. Before it's over, up to 2/3 or more of humanity will have been killed. More species of animals will be lost. The marvels of modern life will have all been lost, and the current age of prosperity will become a legend for the next age of mankind. Further, everything will start over, and memories of what we have before will be lost with every succeeding generation afterwards. Please understand, further reading and media, please understand, I take these men with a grain of salt. I do not believe or buy into everything they say, but what they have uncovered about the event is notable and should not be ignored. Should you explore this rabbit hole, carry with you a discerning spirit. And he doesn't really give his name. I'm trying to find it, but he says you should watch Suspicious Observers, which I recommend. And then I'll put these links in there. And then you want to watch Doug Votes, the Diehold Foundation's lectures. Doug is an old friend of mine, and I've known him for years. I interviewed him. Okay, the guy's name is Laramie Hirsch. He is a red-pilled traditionalist Catholic writer. He is the author of the blog Forge and Anvil and the Hirsch Files. And I'll put a link to him too. So that is really the most succinct description. It could be the last chapter of the Cross of Hendaye book, Monument to the End of Time. That is the most the best description of what I uncovered in my research that I've ever read. And, I wish you'd given credit to Paul Laviolette for discovering this, and for me and the Cross of Hendaye, because it's truly remarkable, because it makes everything on the Cross of Hendaye understandable. The 8-pointed star is the galaxy going off. On the opposite side is the angry sun. So the dust comes through, falls on the surface of the sun, causing it to explode. And then on the other side, we have the moon and the 4 A's in the oval galaxy. So that's time. So you watch short time through the moon, long-term times through the precession of the equinoxes. Precession of the equinoxes, say about, so he says 12,000. I say it's 12,900 years. I think Hancock agrees with that, as I do believe Randall Carlson. So it's close to 13,000 years. So it's half of the 26,000 year precession. So the precession is somehow bobbing and weaving with this, these waves coming in. And so there's nothing in that article that I disagree with. I think that Laramie Hirsch has it nailed down tight. And this explains everything. The pictograms in the American Southwest depicting plasma images, the tortured landscape of the American Southwest, and even here where I live, the mountains, they're not eroded like regular erosion. They're odd and strange. And if you've looked into the electric universe, you know that they hit lightning onto the surface of minerals, and it carves out exactly what you see in the American Southwest, these weird, odd rocks and things. And this also explains the incredible flood damage in the Sahara, especially the Western Sahara. We now, and the Ricat structure, which is a circular structure, which some are claiming is Atlantis, but you can see that where the Ricat structure is in Mauritania, there's been enormous water that had poured over that, like as big as what's in Washington State, and the flooding that happened there 12,900 years ago when the ice sheets began melting. So what happens is the first wave causes earthquakes and all this, and then the sun blasts off its plasma, causing fires and everything. Then the floods come, and then freezes, and the Earth pole shifts, and everything freezes on the two ends of the new poles. And it's truly the best explanation for what's happened to us. I'm not trying to scare anybody or anything. It is the most terrifying thing I probably ever come up against. And the fact that there's a cross monument in the south of France depicting all of these events in a fairy tale fashion is amazing and astonishing. And it shows us a number of things. One, there must be a secret society who built the Cross of Hendaye that has all of this stuff intact. And if it hadn't been for Paul Laviolette and Suspicious Observer and Doug Vogt and me and Vincent Bridges, we would not be as far along in our understanding of these cosmic events. And they're coming. They're coming really fast. I think the earthquake in Turkey is an indication that slowly, very quickly, it's coming down upon us. And we're going to start seeing a lot of events. We already know there's more volcanoes going off right now than ever. The earthquakes are getting more severe. That definitely the poles are moving. There's no doubt about it. And so it's just exciting to see somebody put this article out in such a succinct fashion. I wanted to read it to you. So I'll be back with the book next week. Almost done with that. And thanks for watching. I'm Jay Weidner. Hit like, subscribe, send this off to your friends, and watch the skies. Watch the skies.